I love when somebody comes to visit me at the house. Lauren, thank you so much for coming to visit me at the house. If you are a new watcher or listener and you don't already subscribe, follow, blah, 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 wherever it is that you do that, please do make sure that you do that. And if you hear anything in today's conversation that makes you think of another person, please do share it with them so that they can hear the wisdom that Lauren's going to impart on us today. No pressure.
Yes.
So Lauren, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Would you like to introduce yourself and what you do in the world?
Yes. I am Lauren. I am a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator, and I help humans manage stress. I help them with their confidence levels. I help them find clarity from within and realize that they're actually so much more powerful than they were ever taught they are.
We need you. I need you to move in with me. So what brought you to this work?
I would say life, I guess, for the first almost 30 years was quite tumultuous.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 2, I got a virus which attacked my peripheral nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And although I made somewhat of a recovery, I have lived life with a disability since then.
Yeah.
Growing up in the medical world is not a kind experience.
I got to it as an adult, and I think that, so God help a child been through that. Yeah.
The medical world is very much of the opinion that there's something to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
That you're the problem, and just living your whole life thinking, oh well, something's wrong.
And other people making decisions for you.
Yes.
About your body.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's like a whole other
That's a whole other
a whole
podcast.
Other, yes. It's actually interesting. I had my first spinal surgery when I was 13, and it was the first time I had ever been asked, like, independently.
My stomach is making funny noises, sorry.
I was I think it must have been 12 at the time because it was just after my birthday, but it was the first time I'd ever been asked, like all the adults were signing the papers and all these things, and the surgeon just turned around and said, well, we haven't asked Lauren. And I was like, you could have knocked me over with a feather.
Yeah. What a surgeon.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so medical world, just self-worth, self-belief, everything on the floor, non-existent. And went into like self-preservation mode through negative self-talk. I thought if I said the worst things about myself, then you can't hurt me because I've already hurt myself. But turns out in the long run, that's actually just doing as much damage.
Yeah, self-deprivation thing is very protecting.
Yeah.
It's a very Scottish thing as well, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a very Scottish thing.
Yeah, and it's like under the guise of like being humble or whatever, like, stop it.
Yes.
My dad passed away suddenly when I was 12, and then my mum died when I was 22. So I guess steering back to the question about getting to breath work, I had done a lot of talk therapy throughout for like grief, for like managing personal feelings and things. But I think I found myself in the position where I feel a lot of people are now, where you have all of this information, you have all of the awareness, you know why this happened, when it happened, what were the contributing factors. It's all just in these nice, neat boxes now. But I still had these like belief systems running. It was like, oh, people like me, like based on things that had actually happened, like that was how the doctor spoke to me, people like you. And yeah, just had all of this information that was kind of like, okay, I understand why this, I understand. And then I went backpacking, and I was almost a year to the date into my first backpacking trip. Wheelchair, crutches, splints, everything. Like me living in my disabled vessel, went backpacking.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah,
That is amazing.
yeah. I was sitting by the Wanaka tree in New Zealand, and I thought, maybe I just might not have to believe all the things that. It was like the first spark on a whole new level of like, yeah, it was just like, I've just done all of these things that I dreamed of. Why do I still believe that people like me don't get to do these things?
Yeah. What age were you at this point?
27. 27.
Nice.
Yeah. So late in some regards.
I just thought of something. The cycles, the 27-year cycles, every time, I can't remember if it's
Saturn
returns.
Yeah.
That just came to my mind there. Like, that's
Absolutely,
a massive.
yeah.
Yes, I'm glad that you remembered that it was Saturn.
Yeah.
I'm like that. It's either Saturn or Mercury, but Mercury is the one that disrupts us into.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Cool. What age are you now?
33.
Okay, so you've still got a while for your next 27.
Yeah.
Right, so you're 27, Saturn returns, you've had an awakening.
Yes. And so I went down again a very intellectual route of like radical unlearning.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, it was all understanding the systems now of like the systems of oppression, I guess, like, you know, ableism, internalized ableism, like all this. It was more kind of just understanding and figuring it out. And, you know, again, it just kind of left me, okay, now I know all these things that I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like from a place of anger, and like a lot of it was in defiance and things.
Yep.
And I'll never forget my best friend. She said to me after, I don't know, maybe like a year and a half of like doing all this like unlearning, she said, I'm really excited to see what's next for you. And I was so annoyed. I was like, are you kidding me on? Obviously didn't say anything. I internalized all at the time. Because I was like,
why did you have an angry reaction to it?
Because I was like, I've just done all of this work to figure out who I'm not, what I'm not anymore. And you're saying what's next?
Because she could see the potential.
Yeah, and she was like, this isn't the end. But I had got to that point. I was like,
are you still friends?
Yes.
Yes. Good. Thank goodness.
Yeah. No, she was right as well. So yeah, so I'm just taking part in my guilty pleasure, which is watching YouTube vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this couple on Jake Paul's vlogs, and I follow them on Instagram, find their company, and I'm instantly so drawn in.
Yeah.
So Awaken Breathwork is kind of where it all started.
Okay.
And I remember it was coming up to Christmas time. I was in Australia, and it was $444 Australian for 2 sessions with them, like in a group session. And I remember I called all my friends and I was like, this is the most expensive thing that I've bought or like spent on myself that didn't get me a physical thing.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know if I was going to get anything out of it, but there was something drawing me to it. And I was like, I'm going to get it for myself as a Christmas present. And with breathwork journeys, it can be quite difficult to put into words what happens, because it's all working through the breath and within the subconscious, within the body mind system. But I never looked back. Like the amount of release that I was able to have on a level that I had never even known existed before. And it wasn't, at first, it wasn't all cathartic and the screaming, and you know, you can't see that online. It was, you know, it was in like the shaking of my body. It was in like this subtle dispelling of energy
Mhm.
that I had carried for my whole life up until that point. And then from there, I just kind of continued through the layers
Yeah.
on a voyage. And yeah, I had up until that point, I had only worked in like office jobs and things.
Yeah.
And that was part of my limiting belief story. It was like, oh, people like me just have to work jobs that they should be grateful for, that, you know, the bare minimum, can't have goals, like people don't me like me don't have good jobs type thing. That was all
Mhm.
part of the story.
Conditioning.
Yes. um so they put out their first ever facilitator training. It was a lot of money. It was a long time. And I thought, I'm never going to get this. Like, there's no way. No way. But something was like, just do it. And the applications had to be in on the 31st of January, which was my dad's birthday. So I was like, right, I had no experience. I was like, this is all going to be people who are like, I've been in the industry for this amount of time and, you know,
Mhm.
like actually had something, some experience to like take them in or whatever. And lo and behold, I got in. So yeah, so then the facilitator training was 9, 10 months.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about Helen and Lucas is the integrity that they hold, like within their training, within their work. And you know, they basically said if you're going to take people deep, then you need to you need to go deep.
Yes.
And boy, that is what we did.
Yeah, I think just before you move on, I think that's a really important thing to highlight with any kind of training where you're going to be dealing with people's emotions and things. You can't just do a weekend course and off you toddle and go and then take people into states of potentially altered consciousness that can bring stuff up. You need to know how to hold space for that. It's one of my friends is a breathwork facilitator. Her training's a 6 month. She only covers, I think, 4 different breath types. And a lot of it's about how do you hold space for people that experience a release that you wouldn't otherwise be qualified to deal with. And I think that is something that if somebody's looking for any kind of training course, whether it's energy healing, breath work, how long is the course, how much support is there, and how to support people out with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think maybe the first, I want to say 2, but maybe less than 4. First 4 modules was like the technical stuff.
Yep.
And then the rest of the 10 months was how to hold space, what to look for, how to, you know, work with energy, how to like everything else was covered.
Yeah.
And I think that's important as well when you are choosing who you want to work with. Like, know that there are breathwork courses out there that you can have a certification within 3 days or like whatever. But I would say if you are looking to work with someone in any of those fields, like it is okay to ask what are your qualifications. And then you can ask them more details about it, or you can even go to the establishment or whatever. And you know, it is an unregulated industry at the moment.
Yeah.
So I think using your discernment is so important.
Just because somebody's got a big following on social media doesn't mean that they're the best at what they do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the nuance with something like breathwork or energy work is it does transcend the need for words. So it can be a blessing and a bit of a derailment because you might relate to someone for their story, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can walk you on that path type thing. And yeah, you mentioned like an altered state of consciousness. The type of breathwork that I do, the longer journeys, it is you are entering a non-ordinary state of consciousness, and there is the potential to, work with really deep trauma, and you want to be in a space where someone has learned about like what to do in those situations. And the other thing as well, like with the trauma informed certification, like that is part of my role as a facilitator, to be constantly scanning for clues and scanning for, like, using my subtle senses as well, just to make sure that, you're all right in your process, but not moving towards the realms of like re-traumatization or anything. And there is a lot that goes into it, over and above like the breathing. So yeah, I'd say definitely use your discernment, and the cheapest isn't always the best. And I think there's definitely a bit of like a sticking point when it comes to investing in yourself, like whether it's spending money on like shopping or whatever. I'm guilty. I was that gal. I had the ASOS deliveries coming 3-4 times a week, but like, you are worth it. You are worth the investment, and if you can redirect that spending, you just never know how your life is going to change.
Like yours did, so we can go back. We can use that as a segue to go back to that you had 10 months of this training.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that one of the harder pills for me to swallow, but that's such a gateway, is understanding like the role that you play in your own suffering, and not from a place of blame, and not to shame yourself, but just to acknowledge and then authentically process how the things that you've been through, and the things that might seem really minor to you, might actually have had an imprint on how you show up. Even for example, like losing my dad, that was the biggest shock to everyone. And even now, to this day, like I still discover ways where that part of me is what's running the show. The fear of everything being taken away, the fear of having something and then losing it. The fear of, so it's easier to not let anyone in. It's like it's the intricacies of the things that we've been through that shape us to keep us safe from feeling those feelings again. And it's as big a web as you want to take it. I have such a like I really love following the threads, but not everyone has to. And that's the thing, like you'll go as deep as you're ready to go. If you're thinking about doing a breathwork journey, it's not gonna necessarily, you're not gonna go in and discover your deepest, darkest fears type thing. You'll get what you are ready to receive.
It's like the layers of the onion.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I
kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, so
that's all right. I do that all the time.
I really like, I like that aspect of it, but then that can also have its own boundary as well, because I've definitely been in patterns of dig for something else, like there's something else to fix. So I think having like my lifesaver, my like testament to what I'm able to do is having a coach who can shine light on your blind spots, and remind you to take a breath, because I think people forget that like the whole point is just to have feel joy. we get so bogged down in being an adult.
Yeah.
The responsibility. And I'm not saying by any means that, there aren't real life things going on. But it's also as important as acknowledging those, giving yourself half an hour to just feel like a kid again.
Mm-hmm.
To remember that, we are only here for a limited time
blink of
in
the
this
eye.
lifetime. Yeah. So yeah, that's really what, like, that's one of the most important things that I can help people realize as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a time and place for being serious, and there's a time and place for hustle, and there's a time and place for getting things done. But there's also a time and place for rest and fun and joy, and those things can become imbalanced.
Yeah, and Brené Brown talks about that in The Power of Vulnerability, but you can't feel joy without feeling the pain. Like, it's all in the same emotion. If you numb one thing, you're numbing everything. So if you are just being busy all the time because you don't want to feel, then you're not going to ever feel satisfied. You're never going to feel happy. You're never going to feel a sense of achievement. But equally, you'll not feel bad about anything because you're not allowing yourself just to feel. I was in that space for many years.
Yes.
Until about 40.
Yeah. No, it's so common, and it's so, the first step is just having the awareness of it, because it becomes so unconscious, and you just think this is the way things are, and in that is almost like a resignation to, this is how it is, this is how it's always going to have to be. And just, I swiveled on swithered on the name of, like, realizing your power or reclaiming your power. But I think, in the initial stages, like, I think realizing that you are actually powerful, and the things that you focus on is where your energy goes. Like, just all these small compounding decisions that you can make throughout your day can absolutely change how your day looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just, like, realizing that you have that power is huge.
Yeah, because you can't reclaim something that you don't know that you even have in the first place.
Yeah. And again, it's not about making it wrong. It's like, you don't have, like, oh, I'm a terrible person. I'll strive for perfectionism. All the, it's not about, like, going the other way.
Yeah.
These parts, these behaviors, these thoughts, these habits are and have been born into place to protect us from feeling something that we don't want to feel.
Yeah.
But when we can learn to not fear what it is we're avoiding and actually just sit in it, that's where the liberation really starts to kick off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds so exciting.
Yeah, and I think the main sort of exciting things for me about it are building the trust, because I think for a lot of us, we might not necessarily think about it a lot, but we don't feel safe in our bodies.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of my story as well. Like, speaking so negatively about my own body for so long. And, like, yeah, absolutely, if there was a worst case scenario, I might not be able to run away. Like, but that was how I was living my life. I was like, I'm not safe to exist. I'm not. So, everything you do is on the edge of, like, how can I protect myself? And that in itself is exhausting.
Yeah.
So when I started doing breathwork, there was a level of cynicism. It was like, well, is my body really going to be able to process this? Or, like, am I going to get the same result as everyone else? Like,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it just, for me anyway, and for my clients as well, like it starts to build a trust within you, and from a place of authenticity rather than hunkering down and preparing for the worst.
Yeah.
Like, because you can obviously say, oh, well, I trust myself because I'm prepared for all eventualities.
Prepared for nothing.
Well, you might already be in the bigger trust. Like, you trust yourself because you know that you'll be all right. You know that whatever comes.
I'm just winging it.
Fair.
Cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Well.
That's where I'm at in life. But there's definitely work to be done. Like, for me, I know that my physical body, I hold a lot of tension in a lot of places. One of the reasons I was running late was when we came back from the gym, I said to Chris something about, oh, can you put your elbow in my bum? My bum was kind of pulsing. It's like, I just need that release. And he started doing it. He went, right, put your leg this way. And when I tucked my leg under, my whole pelvis twisted. And he was like, something wrong with you. So he then started trying to massage out and like restrictions, particularly around the pelvic area, which I know because I'm always tight there. I have been for years. And I know that there's a lot of emotional stuff sits around the pelvis. He's like, that, oh, you're really, really inflexible here. I thought you did yoga and you did this and you did and Pilates. And it's like, oh, I do, but I've never said that I'm hypermobile, but I'm also very tight. Which for somebody, like I go for a KCR treatment and the girl's always like, oh, you're so bent, you're so flexible because she can maneuver my body into positions. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm tight as fuck. Like, I am not a loose person. And breath work, I think, would really benefit that because I'm a chronic breath holder. And even though I teach my class and I'm talking to my clients about let go of the breath, it's because I'm like, Jen, you're holding your breath. You need to exhale here. Like, you stop holding it. And I get some of that from my mum because she's very agitated, breath holdy type of person. And I say to her, gonna breathe. Like, just stop. And like my nervous system obviously is very connected to her nervous system. So that's how I'm like, oh, but I don't want to be like this. I want to be more relaxed.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, there's definitely work there to be done to help.
Yeah.
Create space.
Absolutely. Sometimes I feel like when you haven't experienced this, like the space, or when you are new to creating that for yourself, like sometimes I feel like life feels a bit like you're like vacuum packed. Like there's nothing.
Yes. That's an amazing analogy.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
like it's like, okay, this is how it is. Everything's going on around me. Like I have to deal with this. I'm worried about this. Like everything's just so on top of you.
Yeah.
And then when you like when you meditate, when you do breath work, when you EFT tap, when you do yoga, whatever it is, when you start, it's like
somebody's opening the valve.
it's like I'm taking and then the air, like, and at first it might not, like there might not be excess air in there, but you know, it's not like you're not completely like squashed into existence.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to say is a lot of moving through your healing journey, as you'll know, is like it becomes a game of repetition. Like you're not instantly going to go from like being uptight or anxious or holding your breath or whatever to like completely chill and relax.
Yeah.
It's really about like every time you notice, stopping and taking a breath. And then the more you start to notice more, and then it becomes like, oh, well, I actually feel a lot better after I do take a breath. So maybe I'll set a timer to do it every 4 or 5 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not always easy, but it is possible. And there's going to be times when I'm sure you feel like this as well, but like times when you feel like you're right back at the start.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, this was for nothing. Like, I'm not that like inner victim, like
Yes.
coming in.
Oh yes, I'm familiar with
Yeah.
that.
But one of the most helpful things that I definitely heard it from one of my mentors, but it's probably Instagram slide somewhere. But like seeing things like a spiral, so
Mhm.
like you might feel like you're back to the start, but you're like,
You never are.
yeah, and
Mhm.
you're like way more ascended
Yeah.
in the level, and like I really believe that we come here to learn lessons, learn specific lessons, and they show up in different outfits in different ways,
Mhm.
and when you can see things as a learning opportunity, what is this teaching me? But again, that's like a shift in consciousness, because rather than like this is happening to me, coming from a point of inquiry of like, okay, what is this here to teach me? It'll give you a lot more answers.
Yes. Yeah. I remember the last time I was in a flare, and it was a horrific flare. I was in bed for the best part of 18 months. And I just kept thinking, what have I done wrong in life? Like, I've been a good girl this time. It must be a past life. I was a really bad person. Why am I in so much pain? Why is this so horrific? But you do it as easy when you can't move without being in excruciating pain, or can't move without somebody having to come and lift you out of bed. That you go, what? Why? Why? What? Why me? And it's not fair. But then you get through that, and then you're like, oh, actually, if I think about what I was doing in the lead up to that, I wasn't taking proper care of myself, or I had a virus, and that virus then caused post-viral. It didn't matter what I was doing before; it wouldn't have made any difference because the virus was stronger than my immune system was allowing, and there are things that are just out with our control.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. And it's so common for people to get sick when they're completely burnt out. And it's like there are two ways, well, there's probably more, but like the two ways that come to mind to think of it is like, oh, why me? Like, I was doing the best I can, like I'm just trying, blah blah. Or like my body really needed rest. I burnt it out. I'm really being shown that I have to slow down type thing.
Yeah.
And there are, again, I just want to acknowledge like the real life factors in that. I'm not saying that it's easy to do, and I'm not saying that everyone has the privilege of being able to take a rest day or whatever.
Yeah.
But the more that you can start to listen to the cues and not push them down, the less friction and the less resistance there starts to become.
Yeah. And it's like you said before about when you notice you're holding your breath, take the breath. Then you can start with that. When you start to notice that you're getting tired, you can take the wee mini micro pauses of just take a breath.
Yeah.
Because you're probably holding your breath when you're going hell for leather, doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And shallow breathing as well. Like, how often during the day do you like take an actual full belly deep breath? Like,
take them right
you
now.
just don't. You just don't, unless you're like prompted. And that's my coach right now. She's like, set a timer on your phone, like every 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever. Like, do something to shift your state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's sometimes like there's always going to be resistance, like, oh, what's the point? Or like, it's too
I feel
much.
alright.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel alright. I don't need to.
Yeah, but like when you can actually be radically honest with yourself, like, do you want more that you're holding yourself back from? Like, do you have beliefs that are keeping you a place of not feeling that good? Like, and that can be as simple as it can be. You don't have to know exactly what it is, or know exactly what the trauma was, or know at 12 o'clock on your 12th birthday somebody laughed at you that locked you in a cage, like, you know,
you don't need to pick every single scab.
yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to know, you don't have to have all the details to start. There can be a nudge, like a nudge of there must be something more, like surely there's something else to experience in life. And you know, honestly, that was what it was for me with breathwork. It was like, I don't know if I'm going to get anything from this, but I know that I've trusted that there was something out there for me, so I followed the breadcrumbs, and that was where I landed. And I think a lot of people, when you're in the mindset of this is the way things are, you can keep ignoring, like, oh, there must be something more than, like, maybe there is. What if there is? But I guess to summarize what I'm saying is you don't have to know you don't have to have the intellectual information to start. You can just feel like maybe I do feel resonating with breathwork. Maybe I have done all the talking that I want to do. Maybe, you know, maybe there is something that needs to shift. Maybe this is something new that I want to give a try.
It could be that either I'm sick to death of talking about this, or I don't want to say these things out loud. And either way, you're going to get a benefit from breathwork. That's nice. Do you have a favourite particular technique that you like to use?
So working with, for the longer journeys, just using conscious connected breathing in a steady flow. And then there's a few ways you can do it depending on the intensity, depending on the readiness of the client, depending on specific medical allowances. So you can breathe in and out the mouth for a much more activated session. Or you can have a really restoring session, which are a lot of the time just as powerful, doing the whole journey breathing in and out through the nose. That's kind of it in a nutshell. The journeys are typically like 60 to 90 minutes.
Okay.
So it does take
that's a time.
It's not
a time to be breathing.
It's not a walk in the park, but it does take a little bit of effort. But once you get into the first 10-15 minutes, you're climbing the hill, as they say.
Just trying to settle in, I suppose, because different people take different lengths of time to get into a relaxed state, to even get into it. So it was kind of a hypnotherapy session with somebody where I was the person being hypnotized, and she was like, just let go, breathe into it, and she was saying things to me, and I'm like, I'm not relaxed yet. I'm not relaxed yet. But she picked up on that, and she's like, how are you feeling right now? And I went, frustrated because I'm not relaxed. So she was like, that's the same as me. I take ages. And then she took longer to get there. And then we got there and had a really powerful release with the treatment that she did. And it wasn't a breath work. It was I don't even know, it was a healing session, she called it. And I had been for an NLP session with somebody previously and had a similar experience, but she didn't pick up on it. And I didn't see anything. So then she took me through the NLP experience, and I didn't get the benefit of it because I knew I wasn't in a relaxed enough state to get into the unconscious mind to be able to get the benefit of it. So knowing that you're going to do 60 to 90 minutes is good, because you're going to get pretty much everybody
for
in
sure.
a space by then.
And I think setting the scene, for want of a better word, like before we do a session, we do a lot of things to, like, before we move into the breathwork journey, to prepare, like, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And the number one recommendation or the number one tip I would have is to come at it from a place of curiosity, because we constantly live in beta brainwaves. So it's like our analytical thinking mind is like, is this going to work? What's going to,
Yeah.
what am I going to get from this? Like, I'm not relaxed yet. Like,
That's
and
me.
it's so normal though, and it's
Yeah.
like we do, and it sometimes can. It's like, I'm not feeling this yet. I don't know, nothing's happening for me, type thing. But
And then that storytelling and spiraling makes everything
yeah,
worse. You get stuck in that space because you're not
yeah,
trusting the process and letting
for
go.
sure. And if you like, even just switching to how can I allow myself to relax more? Just like from a place of inquiry, from a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
What can I do to soften into this? Like, and then even if there is like a practical answer, so you're not comfortable or whatever, like just speak to sometimes people get stuck in like a bit of musical statues. But
I've got an itch in my nose and I don't want
yeah.
to touch it.
But that's definitely not the vibe.
Yeah.
And if there are, like, you can talk. And
do you mostly do one-to-one with people, or do you do groups, and do you have a preference?
I do both. I was just thinking about my preference there. I do both one-to-one, online and in person. And I have group workshops periodically. I would love to get that set up more regularly.
Yeah.
The preference-wise, they are totally different for me. I enjoy the collective element of a group session, and typically, like I was saying earlier, like the bigger feelings that we have, or bigger limits or beliefs or behaviors, whatever, show up in different outfits. So that can usually be the same across the group. So like one set, whatever the session's on, say it's about like belief systems, limiting beliefs, nervous system, stress responses, like there are usually threads within everyone that's there.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. Element. But I think one-to-one is what I like doing more.
Yeah.
Just the depth you can go with someone, and yeah, just seeing on a more personal level, like seeing the transformation, and being able to support them. And
yeah. With the connected consciousness, is that right? Am I getting the words
conscious
right?
connected.
I knew I was getting it the wrong way. With that type of breath work, is there anybody or any contraindications? Is there anybody that's not suitable for?
Yeah. So with the more activated style breath work, it's not recommended for people who are pregnant, people with a history of cardiovascular. I have all this written down.
Yes, there are some contraindications.
There are some contraindications.
If you have an ill health thing, check first
Yeah.
before you do it.
So yeah, it's always advised to check with your doctor. But cardiovascular, so anything to do with the heart, if you have any injuries currently, current or previous injuries to do with the respiratory system, even like your jaw, like nose, throat, anything that can sort of breathe in for that amount of time in that activated way, it might have an impact on. Also some mental conditions as well, just because it does work with trauma, or it can work with trauma. So it's best for people to be supported in case there are sort of memories or things that come up for people. But this is it's all outlined before someone does a session.
Because I've done the Wim Hof breath thing a couple of times, and both times it triggered flare in me. And the person who was guiding it, I said to them, and they were like, no, that's not right. And I was like, no, I'm definitely telling you, I have got pain in my bowel, and I've been going to the toilet more frequently since I did that breath. No, that's not right. And I was like, okay. And then I spoke to a Wim Hof instructor, and and I said to them about it, and they were like, there's loads of people that shouldn't do this breath work. But when you see Wim Hof, he's like, everybody should be doing this breath work, and it's like this all inclusive. This is the panacea to cure all ailments. But with everything, there's always contraindications because there is a potential for negative outcomes for things if things are not done right, or things are not done safely, or your body's not in the physically right space, or your mind's not in the right space at that moment to do that technique. It's super important.
Yeah.
Because like anything, too much of something can be harmful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so there you could look at it through the lens of, you're maybe having like a purge or a cleanse. But I think more likely, just with how you were describing it there, it is, if someone is claiming to have a cure for everything,
red flag, run away.
I think that says more about the intention behind the delivery, and also maybe the defensiveness. And yeah, I think you know your body best, and if there's nothing else that's different other than doing that method, then the math ain't mathin'.
Exactly.
Also, just with that, I don't know, I've never studied it, I don't know anything about it, I'm not claiming to know anything about it, but I would never personally recommend to do breath work near water, any body of water, not ice bath, pool, anything.
But which a lot of people do that. They'll come and do breath work, and then we'll go in the water together, and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's done in a safe and controlled way, and you're not doing breath work in the water or near the water, because breath work can cause like passing out, you can faint, but there are a lot of like side effects and dizziness, all these things. So if you're doing that near water, then it's not something that I would recommend.
I heard somebody talking about the holotropic breath work, which is that kind of similar to yours, and they were talking about when they went on this like weekend retreat where that's what they were doing all weekend, and one of the people in their group, I think it was a podcast I was listening to, one of the people in their group started like howling like a werewolf and running around the room. So if you were in this altered state and near water, and having done this breath work, you could put yourself at risk just by thinking that you're a werewolf, or thinking you're a dolphin. Swimming out to sea, never to be seen again.
Yeah, I haven't seen that or heard that, but yeah, no, I think there's probably stories of everything, but I also wouldn't recommend standing up during a breathwork journey, or and that other people might have containers or retreats or whatever where you breathe and you run around or whatever, but I wouldn't, if someone was partaking in a breathwork journey and standing up, that's a risk to their health, or in the context of what I would be doing.
Like even just sudden blood pressure changes from when you're doing breath work can put strain in the heart.
And your CO2 levels, your oxygen levels are completely different, and you know, even if you need the bathroom during a breathwork journey, you know, like you don't stand up quickly, you know, have someone go with you.
Well, it's the same as you come for massage or do Reiki or anything. If you've been lying down for a period of time, it's always sit yourself up slowly. Don't get up too quickly. Make sure that you feel grounded before you actually move, because you can't just, everything changes when you've been lying down for a period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like there's always going to be people that are drawn to like the song and dance of it, or like the outrageousness, or and like that's their own choosing, and yeah, like
that's not what you're guiding though.
No, that's not. No, we wouldn't be getting up in mid breathwork journey being a lion.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about today? Any other parts of your story you want to share? Topics that we haven't maybe touched on that you think are important?
The only thing I would kind of link back into is the pillars of the journey that I'm taking people on in my new program. You know, the confidence, the clarity, and realizing that you are freaking powerful.
Yeah.
Those have been the main sort of transformers in my own path.
Yeah.
You know, completely changing my self-concept through deep subconscious work, deep therapeutic work, but also daily actions like changing how I speak to myself, you know, mirror work, those types of things. And then clarity, just building that trust, you know, start to note down all the times that your body has done something good for you, like start to appreciate it, like have gratitude for your body, all like just there are so many things that you can do, free things you can do to start changing how you think, and to start changing how you're seeing the world, and to start your healing journey.
Yeah.
If you want to, obviously.
Yeah, you have to feel called to it. Don't feel pressured into it.
No, and not from a place of like, oh, well, I must need to do this because everyone else is like, none of that.
Don't follow the crowd.
No. And then just realizing that you have the answers. You know, it's a huge advocate of having a coach, or you know, I am a coach, a facilitator. You know, and there's huge benefit in allowing yourself to be seen in that capacity, maybe for the first time in your whole life.
Yeah.
But also for someone to know where you're at and steer you, and you know, you can lean on for support. Because a lot of the time when you start these things, you know, there maybe isn't many people. There aren't maybe many people in your circle doing the same thing, and
it can feel lonely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely been through those stages as well. So,
and then your circle has to change because the dynamics of things have changed. Yeah, that's
Oh, it's fun. No, it is, and it's part of the journey, and it's and then just really, really leaving it on the question of like, what if you are more powerful than you think you are? What if you can change your life?
Yeah. And I think just thinking about my own journey recently about that stepping into your own power and realizing how powerful you are, it doesn't mean that you have to go and get the SEO job at some big company or run a million companies or become a millionaire or whatever. It's like, what do you want for your life? Do you want to have a really quiet, easy life where you work a couple of days a week and you chill out? That is you stepping into your power, as much as going for the big job. If it's which one do you want?
Yeah.
And don't compare yourselves. I've been at things where they're like, you know, make bigger goals, and I'm like, my bigger goal is to do less, like to do nothing. Like, but some people would see that as being lazy or being a failure, or like that. No, I have been on that striving for so long that fucked.
Yeah.
I want to just lie down.
And what's actually more powerful, wanting something that someone else wants or wanting what you want,
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to want what you want.
Yeah.
And I think it always just comes back. That's like, you are the source. You are the compass. You are that was cheesy.
I love that.
But like, what else really matters? Like, we can spend so long just in other people's judgments, projections, opinions, like desires, like, and what's actually more powerful than deciding what you want and then going after that?
Yeah, and not caring what other people think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Where is the best place for people to find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at darlin without a G, so DARLIN _breathe. I do have a Facebook, but it's not really.
That's all right. Instagram's the best place.
Yes, Instagram. Yes.
Cool.
And then a website just for more information if you like, but you can find that on Instagram too.
Cool. I'll put the links to them into the show notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and your wisdom.
Yeah.
And as I said at the start, remember, like, share, follow, subscribe, blah, 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 do all that stuff. Do all that stuff to help the world.